The embosser.
Hope it has good padding since the way the UPS guy threw it at us. Here it is all put together. We had to read the instructions. But all ready to...
I'm going to be scanning Pandemic. Pandemic was the game that was voted. Just using a regular old scanner.
It's not just a regular scanner, it's a high quality photo scanner. So put it in there. Makes that whining noise.
So I scan it, and I'm doing it at 100 dots per inch, which happens to be the size that the other program likes. And in, I'm going to be putting it into the Tiger software. Yes, I know I'm using paint. I want something really simple. And with one of the corners, I'm going to copy that and I'm going to open up the Tiger designer software. And this is just the main go-to software that we use when we're when I'm embossing a image. And I just cut and pasted it in here. So I'm going to be literally tracing the path of the different cities. I haven't done Pandemic yet, so I'm trying to figure out the most logical way to do it prior and try to get it in approximately the same position. And I'm going to do this for all the cities. Make the shape a little bit different for the different colored countries or not. Since that can be important in the gameplay, or if just putting a prefix R in front of the name of the city will be good enough. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this on 4 separate sheets of sticky paper. I was thinking originally that I was going to with Pandemic do contact paper through, but the way that the Pandemic board folds up, 8.5 by 11 sheets of paper would actually work well, because you can have, if you have 4 of them, you can do the entire board, and they'll probably be easier for people to transport and apply. So I think it's a better solution. Now I'm prepping the files for the translation software. I'm using Notepad Plus just to have a very simple version. Every city I put a prefix for. Blue and black start with the same letter, so black is actually X, blue is... So Tehran is XTE. So I use the first 2 letters for most of the cities, and after the name of the city, I've listed all the cities that that particular city connects to. So this one connects to Moscow, Baghdad, Karachi, and Delhi. So this will be on all of the player cards, even though that information isn't on there in the print version. I thought that that was important to have. What I have right here is a HTML document I made for Pandemic. One of the challenges with doing a game like Pandemic with a big board is making sure that the blind player is able to really get a lay of the land, and I'm doing that in a couple different ways for Pandemic. So the first thing that I have here is this HTML document. So they can use, in the accessibility kit, they'll have a QR code that will allow them to go directly to this website. So they'll scan it in,
and the website looks like that doesn't.
And then they will go to the scan it in, and they'll pull up a website that looks something like this. And what I have here is the name of the different cities in Pandemic, and in front of it is a prefix, which is like B, so that's a blue city, R, that's a red city, and then the first two letters of the name. Below it, it has a all the cities that it links to, so they can click through using their iPhone or whatever they're using to see what the city connects to, and any cities that are connected to that, which are connected to other cities, just so that they'll be able to chain through and say, oh, I got to go here, here, here. This is another thing that I'm doing. I'm going to be printing this on 8.5 by 11 sheets of paper, and this is actually the layout of the board, and you can see the connections right here, and it has boxes within Braille. It has the same 3-letter abbreviations that I've been using on the cards and everywhere else, so that they'll be able to say, alright, I can feel here, this is connected to here, and hopefully be able to get a hands-on view of the board without disrupting the board and where the infections are. We've scanned in the boards, and the boards are going to have a transparent overlay that exactly matches the board. So they'll have the mini one in front of them. They'll be able to use the website, and the actual board will have a transparent overlay that has the Braille on it with the same 3-letter abbreviations that I've been using all throughout. So using all these methods together, hopefully a blind player will be able to get a real picture of how the board is laid out and be able to figure out how their pawn needs to move across the board. When I was thinking about how I wanted to do Pandemic and like the pieces that go on the board, I wanted to do something cool and I wanted to reinvent the wheel because that's kind of what I like to do. I was thinking, oh, that'll be awesome. I can 3D print or laser cut something, and we can make these stackable pieces. And this is some of the prototypes that I made up that are supposed to look like the viruses, and they kind of stack on each other. And the idea would be that you'd put these on the cities, and that would be how you kept track of them, just like you'd use the square markers. I've kind of fallen back from that, and I'm not going to be doing that because there's a couple different reasons. Number one of the ideas of the accessibility kit is we want to keep it cheap and simple. And Emily rightly pointed out to me, this is not cheap, this is not simple. I can't go to the hacker space, which I go to laser cut pieces for this, and it's just going to take too long to laser cut or 3D print these for all the different versions of the game. So if we sell a lot of them, it's just not scalable. A smarter way to do it, she's like, alright, what's something cheap and stackable that are already existing? Well, that's the solution right there. What we're going to do, instead of using the cubes, which are a little bit harder to manipulate, we're actually going to be using stacking coins on all the cities. Now I am in the final stages of assembly of Pandemic. We've done all the cards, we've done the HTML and everything else tied to the kit. And what I'm doing right now is seeing if the overlay actually overlays correctly. So this is the last part. So this will be shipped off to anyone who buys the kit, and it overlays on the board just like this. They'll have to do a little bit of trimming.
Now scoot it over here towards me so I can get a really good shot of it all done.
Here you can see the outbreak track, and it says down here outbreak track. It says player deck, player discard. This part I didn't bother putting on there. It's just the play order. I didn't put Pandemic in big letters, but it says infection deck, infection pile here, and it just has the numbers for the infection rate right here. So all the information will be on here. For the different diseases, what we're going to be doing, instead of doing the tokens, we have these stackable
It
coins.
should be little on big though, otherwise they won't make sense.
Well, if I was playing the game, I'd be paying more attention to that. I'm trying to, but and you'll be able to use the different denominations to represent things. They could use whatever. They could use other things other than coins. This is just what we're going to recommend. And they're going to be moving their pawns around. And they'll have to be careful, of course, to make sure that they don't disrupt it too much when they're playing. One of the ways that we're hopefully will mitigate that is this is the other thing that I've done. This sheet right here has the same information and has the same connections in a tactile form that the blind players can have in front of them, and it uses the same 3-letter abbreviations that are on all of the cities and used in the QR codes and on the deck. I haven't cut out the deck yet.
You could say.
You can see that it doesn't look like the map, but it's more of a tactile representation. It has all of the connections that are needed to play the game. So a lot of times when you're doing tactile graphics, getting it to look exactly the same isn't as good as getting it so that it's readable. And I tried my best to keep this as readable as possible. There's a lot of information that I'm putting into a very small space. Last main part of the accessibility kit. The cards are going to actually be, when they're cut out, they're going to be sideways. It has all the information, the different roles right here. There's going to, that come with the game, and then it just has a list of all the cities, and that's all these pages are. Right here it has the cities, the 3-letter abbreviations that they're connected to, and any of the action cards, the event cards that are in the game are also transcribed on there. So I have to cut these out, put it on a sleeve the game. And this is how we're doing Pandemic.